Years ago, a 917 was road registered. So what do you do to celebrate the golden anniversary?
If you're Porsche, you create this. This is the 963 RSP, a one-off version of a Le Mans hypercar built for Roger Penske. And they're going to let me have a little go in it. If this film numbers your plate and makes you think about swapping your limousine for a Le Mans car, then why not head over to HagertyMarketplace.com. You can auction for free and keep 100% of the sale price. To find out more, just click on the racy little link in the gripping description down below. Right, back to a rather rushed but extraordinary day.
I wouldn't normally do this, record stuff on my phone. Glenn, sadly, isn't with me for this trip. It was all very, very last minute, but I had to say yes. I think you'll agree. And it's a slightly mad afternoon, really. It's about sort of lunchtime. I'm at a very small airfield, about to get on a small plane, a very small plane, and fly to Le Mans. And I thought a bit of behind the scenes might be just quite fun on this occasion.
We hopped into a Diamond DA62, popped on the day's first headset and took off, spotting circuits like Silverstone and Goodwood on the flight before arriving at Le Mans about an hour and 40 minutes later, just as the two silver Porsches were arriving. So, as they were readying the new one, I thought I'd have a look at the old one.
This is the inspiration. This is 917 Chassis 30, bought by Count Rossi of Martini Rossi fame and raced once in Austria, not terribly successfully. Then it went back to the factory where it was road converted. Much of the race car really remains exactly the same. It was just little things like lights. It has a spare wheel at the back and some catches to hold down, which apparently came from ski bindings. It's utterly gorgeous. This is Martini silver, like the new car. Inside, tan leather, apparently from Lemans. I love it.
And then, rather unexpectedly, I was actually allowed to sit in it.
I barely fit. I know, I know. Where there's a will, there's a way, though. I reckon I would give it a good go. I really would give it a go. This is absolutely amazing. I've never sat in a 917 before. I barely fit, obviously, at my height. I'm not sure I've ever sat in a car where it feels like the front arches are actually sort of almost sort of above my eye level. It's beautiful leather as you expect. You've also got the wooden topped gear lever there, famously in the 917. This is just incredible. Tiny steering wheel there. There is another lovely link with the 917 and Penske, in fact, because Penske gave the 917 its sort of send-off in a way, because the 917-30, they broke the closed circuit speed record, with Mark Donoghue taking it to Talladega and setting an average lap speed of 221 miles an hour. So there's a Penske link all the way from this through to the modern car as well, which I think is just fantastic. Wow. I love the fact that the owner of this car as well actually drives this on the road now as well. It's just, that's, to me, makes me very happy.
Despite the changes and it being the 1970s, Count Rossi still really struggled to get the 600 brake horsepower flat-toed monster registered for the road, with the French and German authorities saying non and nine respectively. Eventually, he got it registered in the state of Alabama on the condition that he never drove it there. Which brings us to the 917's great-grandchild, this road-converted 963, which is also ineligible for full registration but has been given special dispensation by both the French government and the EPA to be driven on the public highway. The whole idea for this only came about from an idle conversation during Porsche Penske Motorsport's final round of the 2024 season at Petit Le Mans. And while it was obviously fun in principle, Timo Resch, president and CEO of PCNA, admits that he kept expecting to be met with a hard no at some point during the project. But it never happened. And here we are. The interior has been given a touch more comfort and trimmed to match the light tan of the 917. It also has fun details like the cup holder and delightful 3D printed vents that mimic in miniature the iconic fan on top of the old car's engine. There's also a horn and a headset. The exterior is likewise a case of refinement rather than huge changes, yet they make quite a difference.
One of the big things about this car is the paint, because this is actually the only 963 to be painted. They're all wrapped otherwise. This has proper Martini silver paint like the 917, 3-layer lacquer over the top. But the fact that it is silver, and I love this black here, because it really accentuates the silhouette of the car. It lets you see all the detail in it, and it is beautiful, which I hadn't really expected. It's obviously technical and complicated, but there is a real grace to the way that it flows from front to rear. One of the bodywork parts that's different are these bits, because normally the tyres are open all the way around at each corner, which is actually to stop the car from flipping over. So it's to let the air out, basically, if it's in danger of flipping. Doesn't need that for the road car. It's an airport. So they have 3D printed over in Atlanta these sections go that with these grills here, which again obviously mimic the 917. Coming down to the front here, one of the big things, we've got a badge. No other 963 has the lovely enamel badge like that. Normally it's a sticker. And then the number plate, because this obviously can drive on the road, which just, I mean, look at it. I can't believe it.
Apparently, with its Multimatic DSSV dampers in their softest setting, the double wishbone suspension did cope okay with road furniture, and even speed bumps. But then, its 18-inch forged wheels are used to being bounced over curbs for 24 hours.
Talking about the wheels, there's a really nice period detail on this. For the tyres, so wet weather tyres, they've got the Michelin logo as it would have been in 1975, 50 years ago. You can see obviously the raised ride height here. Brakes though, exactly as they are on the race car, which is sort of terrifying initially because you think they're never going to work at low speeds, but somehow they do. Around the back, obviously we've got the bespoke badge for this 963 RSP Roger Searle Penske, but something else which kind of evokes the original 917 as well is the fact that this is really open. So on the race car, this would actually be all closed off for aerodynamic reasons, but road car don't need that, so they can open it all up and you can see that huge rear tyre, which I love. There's something really cool about following a car and being able to see sort of all the innards and stuff working away when it's on the road. So yeah, love that.
Then it was time for my brief stint behind the wheel on the runway, and after a chat with legend of endurance racing Timo Bernhardt about how to drive it, the first task was to post my lanky frame through the small butterfly door.
Wow.
Once belted in, it was ignition toggle on and then the hybrid system on, all under the watchful eye of an engineer with a laptop. Weighing not much over 1,000 kilos or 2,200 pounds, the RSP has exactly the same 671 bhp powertrain as the race car, but with a 4.6 litre twin-turbo V8 remapped for a smidgen more smoothness and converted to run on pump fuel. Then it was hold the paddle for the clutch, pit limiter on, and pull away smoothly and comparatively silently under electric power.
Okay, so I've got hand clutch here, which I've got pulled in at the moment until I get up to 45 kilometres an hour, so we're on electric only. And then 45 kilometres I can dump the clutch, bump start, ready.
And this is when it gets loud, really loud. Even I couldn't hear what I was saying.
You can see out, the visibility is not terrible actually. I've got some wind mirrors, I've got a digital screen there so I can look back. Give me a bit of space. Bump start ready.
Every time I turned around, I had to pull the hand clutch, at which point I was on electric power alone again, with the engine idling. Full lock still meant a turning circle akin to the lorry the car had arrived in, but once the 180 was complete, it was back into another blast of that wonderful acceleration.
Which is actually derived from, you'll find in the Spider, And the RS Spider before that.
And that's a point worth emphasising, that this engine, in naturally aspirated form, was in a fully homologated road car. Yes, the way this 963 RSP pushes the boundaries of the road racer category is akin to Tom Cruise testing the limits of his health and safety team, but Porsche, perhaps more than any other brand, has over the years genuinely blended road and race in so many of its products. Just look at any GT3 RS.
Yeah, it's so direct. It's a bit of rolling there, actually. I mean, it's like turning the space shuttle into a consumer passenger jet. It's remarkable. So you sit so low down through this valley of these extraordinary front arches. Imagine driving this on the road. Imagine doing what Rossi did with that 917. This is absolutely amazing. This might only be a very brief go in this, but if you're offered a mouthful of an amazing meal, you take it. Even if it's not the full meal, you taste it. And that's what this is. Not so bad. Box. What an experience. Yellow button for off. Hybrid system off. It's so much to take in, isn't it?
Yeah. So
it's just.
What's your feedback?
It's so cool. And do you know what? I got in this. I thought, you know, I'm going to take this off. I genuinely got in this and I thought, there's no way that you'd want to drive it on the road. Like with the 917, you can sort of get your thing, oh, it's small enough and it's a manual box. You think, okay, I could kind of imagine doing that. I thought there's no way. Within 2 up and downs, the visibility is kind of okay. The steering's lovely, the weight and the kind of that bit of roll in there. And you think, yeah, I want to know what this is like on the Route Napoleon. I really kind of like, you know, sort the junctions. That it would be.
And I saw you were swerving a bit, so you got a bit of feeling.
Yeah, and it's like I say, you've got that weight in there. It's kind of there's actual feel, because so many race cars you get in, and it's like there's no feel unless you've got real load going through the tyre. But this, almost straight away, you've got that.
You have some feedback.
Yeah,
connection.
and you sort of, it's like, oh, I can kind of, you know, you get that, you have that sense of where each corner is, and you're like, yeah, this would be fun. It's actually way better than I thought it would be.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's such an amazing mix of obviously race car and sort of bewildering. You look at that and it's kind of that intimidation of the race car and things like a hand clutch. I've never driven with a hand clutch before and stuff, but the electric makes it obviously easy at low speed. The power is great. Yeah, seeing the proper shift lights.
Do you have the experience?
Yeah, I gave it.
It's good.
I waited for the proper till it flashed blue and gave it the front. I was like, I'm not having any of this shifting early business. This is my one chance.
Yes,
I'm having the full experience. So, and but yeah, it's so direct, but not so hyperactive that it feels sort of really nervous somehow. Brakes were okay. They weren't as, you know, I thought I wasn't braking like super late, but the fact you can brake like you would in a road car, and it's okay, is good.
You have some temperature in it.
Yeah. It's but yeah, the interior is just, it's so at once like intimidating, but then because you've got all this, and it's really light. The fact I'm so glad that was in tan, because then to have this in tan and make it light, it feels
a bit more friendly.
Yeah, it is, rather than the sort of the normal dark. You can imagine if it's all black, well, you know what it's like, but kind of, that view out, proper fighter jet sort of, not since being in the McMurtry have I had that kind of proper sort of just single seat. And we've got a cup holder. We've got a cup holder. I can take my coffee with me.
When Count Rossi collected his 917 from Weissach on the 27th of April 50 years ago, he drove straight to Paris, 400 miles away. You can imagine the party on arrival. The first the factory knew of the successful shakedown was on a phone call the following morning. And ridiculous though it may seem, I would love to attempt something like that in the amazing 963 RSP. Atlanta to Indianapolis has a good ring to it, I think.